and welcome to the Three Musketeers podcast. I'm your host, Vance, here with
Well,
and
Mason.
and we're discussing the movie, the horror thriller flick known as The Road.
road.
The Road. All right, so before we jump into it, let's give a little breakdown. Mason, I would like you to do a little bit because you seemed very engaged yesterday. You liked the movie a lot. I didn't really care for it. You go ahead.
All right. Well, according to Wikipedia,
No, I want you to give a breakdown from your own words.
I am, but I need Wikipedia to help me remember the plot of the movie. Cause
Okay, so when you do that, I'll get mine.
You can go first then.
It's literally is the least favorite that I've actually watched
I agree.
thus far, because it's literally a point A to point B. There is no bigger villain. It's just literally survival. It's not even a zombie apocalyptic one. It's just apocalypse happened, as me and Mason has predicted. Nukes. I will still stand by the nuke, as well as the stock
It's
market
not a bad
crashing.
prediction.
I have a
as well
new
as the
theory
stock
on
market.
that, actually.
Okay,
What?
before we get into that though, I'm gonna say something, and you guys might not agree, and that's fine. I don't consider. What about that movie was a horror movie? To be completely honest, if
He
we're-
never said it was a horror. He said it was a sci-fi, and even then, I don't see
but
the
he said it had.
sci-fi element.
He said, yeah, I didn't see sci-fi, but he also had horror elements.
Did you not see the part where they went in the basement?
That was like a minute and a half scene.
That
And
still was a
that
horror.
makes it horror.
Yeah.
Nothing about that scared anyone though.
Okay, but
but I'm saying
you
I
have
under-
a scene. Okay, so
didn't-
the
I
sex
don't
scene
con-
in Oppenheimer was like
I
5
don't
seconds
consider that
long.
sci-fi
It
either, though.
still made it an
I'm with you
R-rated
too.
movie.
I consider that. I'm with you too. I don't consider it sci-fi either. It didn't really. Yeah.
But like, I mean, again, it's
Because again, we have to be fair. I don't consider that sci-fi, and I don't really find it that scary either.
Okay.
and again, it's one of those like because it's a apocalypse movie, so
Post-apocalyptic, yeah.
they're all in that same realm of horror-esque anyway. The fact of everyone in it for themselves is a horror all on its own. It's
like
not
knowing what comes next.
it's not necessarily, ooh, I'm going to scare you, everything's going to kill you. Yes, there can do some things like that, but also, how many horror films are just in the woods? How many horror films are just taken outside? How many horror
That's more
films
a
are
question
just
for
there?
him because we've talked about
Well,
this.
I know, but I'm just saying the stuff that you know.
Winnie the
Oh,
As
okay,
as
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
stereotypes of a horror film, as the stereotypes of an apocalypse movie,
Pooh. Yeah.
You're saying how many times does it like just?
how many
okay,
times is it
yeah.
just used?
A lot.
Hence why there's those literal cliches of this is what it is.
Do you think that we need to break them?
Yeah, because that's where stuff like Shaun of the Dead and everything come into play. Because it's literally like straight up, it's there, it's great, and it's playing with the tropes.
Yeah.
It's not hiding the tropes, it's just funnily doing the tropes.
Do you think that if let's say you're a director making a new trope for a movie, take Woods out of it, what would be your new shtick you'd go to for a horror? You're directing a horror movie. What would you go with?
I don't really know because every place that would be a freaky thing has already been done. Because we've done you're stranded.
That's not a bad point.
You're stranded somewhere, horror. You're
Yeah.
in space, horror. You're in a shed, and that's all you ever have and know is a shed.
Some weird ass alien thing is taking over the
Yeah.
world.
You have all of that stuff that's already been done, so I really can't think of another concept that would be.
No, I'm saying it doesn't have to be original, but where would you go? Where would you put the people if it's not the woods? Where would you? It doesn't have to be an original concept. Now, if you weren't putting them in the woods, where would you put them in the world? Bottom of the ocean.
That would be.
You know what I would love to do?
What?
Submarine.
That's literally Sunshine 2, apparently.
Black.
Or
no,
or
I don't
whatever
mean,
that
I mean
thing.
like you know what a black site is?
What?
Okay, a black site is a political name for a person that's not dead, but doesn't exist in terms of like you can't find them on any document.
Okay.
So
Example
basically,
being-
Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Not exactly. That's close. Not exactly. There's a movie called Black Water. I love it. Jean-Claude Van Damme is in it. Dolph Lundgren. it's basically these two guys are captured and they're put into a submarine. It's a black site. They're not dead, but they're not officially living. They don't officially exist.
Okay.
You can't find documents of them anywhere. I would think that would be really cool to have like a black site horror movie. Like you can't. These people don't officially exist. So if they die, no one knows they're dead. Think about that. No one knows they're dead because they don't officially exist.
That sounds like most horror movies because
Yeah.
they're always alone to begin with.
No, but I'm saying you have a group of people, but they're evil people, so you don't feel bad when they die because they did something wrong.
Then what?
Yeah.
That sounds like
But
a very boring movie in my opinion.
I could make it not boring. Trust me.
All right, here's
What's your stuff?
here's
over
my
there?
idea because my mind is on ADHD right now. How about we set it in a used car dealership?
Oh God.
And we have like a Michael Bay transformer
Oh,
attacking
God.
people, like locking them in, and they have to find a way to escape.
Where are they locked in? At it? You said
A car's
used
dealership,
car
yeah.
dealership. Oh shit.
You know what's freaky about that? You don't know which car is a car and which car is a transformer.
Exactly, that's what I'm
his point
saying.
is, yeah.
Why is there a plane in the backyard? I don't know.
I remember in the first one, honey, why is there a big yellow robot? No, bad mojo. He's like peeing on the dog. He's like peeing on bad mojo, bad dog.
What happened to the pool?
No. So yeah, for me, I feel like Black Site would be cool because the people don't officially exist. But in the movie Black Water, both guys that are in the Black Site, they're not bad people. They're just in the wrong place, wrong time. So let me ask you guys. So with this movie, what did you like about it? What did you relate to?
Well, for me, obviously, the father's death scene, it really touched me because I was
We
actually.
don't have to get into it too much if you don't want to.
No, I'm good. It was actually really similar to how my dad died. He was
Very sick.
he was really sick and he couldn't move at all, and it wasn't as like, it was actually probably worse than the movie what the movie showed, but that really spoke to me personally, just from personal experience. So I kind of got sad and
Do you think the movie?
teared up a
do you
little bit
think
at
the
that.
movie did it right?
I don't know what disease he had to.
That's what I'm saying. Do you think they did a sickness right in terms of what you'd seen your dad go through?
Well, I don't think it was cancer. So that's one thing. But even if
Because he puked up blood, I'm going to either go tuberculosis or pneumonia.
yeah, that's
Because
what I
he
was
did
thinking.
puke up blood.
But no matter whatever it was, I think it was a good scene. It helped. It did help. I don't know.
Did it give closure, you think?
I think for the kid, yeah, but for the audience, it kind of made me mad because we've been watching these two assholes like the entire movie, and then one of them just dies. That was kind of underwhelming when I think about it.
Now let me ask you something before you go. Did you guys like the fact that they weren't given names?
Yes,
I did not personally.
It was great.
it was great.
Why?
I feel like now I'm gonna sound like a hater, and that's fine. I feel like the kid was too old to use the word papa.
Okay, they're also
Usually, a papa is a grandfather, not a father. The way I grew up, my grandfather in Australia was called papa. I don't consider my dad my papa.
You have to remember this kid was born during an apocalypse, so he didn't really get to grow up that much. He had to run while he was 6, 7, and he's been on the
They
run
think
since then.
Youngest 8, oldest 12.
Okay.
That's what we're seeing him at.
Either way, he's
I just don't like-
developmentally. He's not.
You do realize he was reading something like Green Eggs and Ham level to him.
Yeah,
We don't know. Again, we don't know.
That was the type of book that it was.
It was a kid's book.
Yeah.
Developmentally, he's not at the stage where he's gonna keep moving on. You know.
Yeah. Basically, the only instinct is survival.
What about you? What did the movie do well to you?
I mean, besides the not naming characters, which in my opinion with that is I can put myself into
Yeah.
said character a lot better, regardless if I'm watching a book. Yeah, watching a book.
Reading a book.
Reading a book,
watching
watching a
Watching
book, reading a movie.
Watching
Um,
books so much fun.
But but yeah, just like having all of that. I did like the overarching parts of legitimately looking at the abandoned stuff. Like after finding out that was a amusement park in PA, apparently that they were
Conneaut Lake. Yep.
Yeah, it's like 2 miles
Like,
from here.
like that was kind of cool having
Is it
that.
really, like just right down the road.
It
Yeah.
was. But like,
What?
but like again, it's I'm always that nerd that I don't know if you guys knew this about me, but I always like watching people go into abandoned places.
Nah.
I
that's always
just
fun.
love watching that.
He's
Urban exploring.
Here's the funny thing.
videos are
Will's
great.
very observant, and I've said this before, and he knows what I'm going to say, so he's not going to be mad. He's very observant, where sometimes to the point where he's over observant, where he thinks he knows what's going on, and then he'll be like he'll overthink it and he'll get way off.
Or get it way right.
You either get it.
You are omnipotent.
He's like
Thank
this.
you.
He's omniscient. He'll either be like way on point, or he'll overthink. He'll be like, "Did that just happen?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm like, you're overthinking it. Go like dumb it down a little bit."
But I mean, like the other parts I liked was every time he saw a piano, it
Yeah,
reminded
His
him.
wife, yeah.
It reminded him of that, and like of how like his son was young enough to not even understand and remember why.
Yeah. But it made him cry, but he didn't know why. Yeah.
And then every single time that they did find a dead body, regardless if it was burned to a crisp, rotten, or literally fresh,
Yeah.
the dad always said, "It's not like you haven't seen it any worse
Not something-
before."
yeah, it's something you haven't seen before. Okay. Now I want to say something because you mentioned wife. You know what I think was really interesting? He took his picture of his wife and threw it in the river, right? But I don't think we ever noticed the symbolism. He took the ring. He couldn't bring himself to flick it off the side. He set it on the edge. He could not bring himself to physically get rid of the ring. So that shows that he had love in him still. And
Love to carry on for the boy.
exactly. And you know what else I think? And I've said this. He didn't. We talked about the movie about like, oh, like, why were you following us? He said to the boy, "Don't be afraid of people. Don't be afraid if people confront you." But it seemed like he was doing the complete opposite of what he wanted the kid to do. He's like, "Don't follow us." He's like, "You're doing the thing that you're telling your son not to do. You're telling him not to be afraid of people that confront him, but yet you don't want people confronting you, and you're a grown-ass man." It was really weird to me. You might not agree with me, but again, they were literally saying, "Why are you following us?" And the kid's saying, "You're going to have to learn to shoot a gun, be a man." But when the dad does it, it's fine. But when the kid wants to be a kid, it's not fine. I didn't find that very likable.
It's kind of like the do as I say, not
as
what
I-
not
yeah.
not as I do, because you know the amount of times in that film of him going, well, be the fire, carry the fire, do everything else, look out for humanity, yada yada yada.
Be a man, hold the
He'll
gun.
do all that, not just do the man thing and all that,
Hold the gun.
but he's always teaching his son to be merciful, and yet he would never.
He's not, yeah.
But yet,
Explain what, because I know what you mean. For those that are going to be listening, explain.
well, there's the fact of not just him doing everything that he did to everybody. You start to go insane by one trying to keep him as innocent as humanly possible.
That was I feel like that was the goal, though.
That's why it drove the man insane. He was trying to keep his boy as innocent as humanly possible
And it
as
literally
it
drove
could
him
be.
nuts.
It drove him nuts to be like
I can't
everything
keep him.
else.
I can't keep him.
And like the
innocent.
fact, I think what also broke him too is that when he was trying to have his moment in the home that he grew up in,
Yeah.
his son wanted
Don't touch my stuff.
No, his son wanted no part of being in his house.
And he said, "Don't touch my stuff."
No, that's also there. But literally, he did not want to be in his father's
house. yeah.
childhood house.
So where do you what do you think, Mason? Do you think like the dad? So explain what you were saying to me to him about how like the dad wanted the son to be merciful.
Yeah, I mean,
You worded it
It's-
better than me. Go ahead.
you know how he always was like, literally, be kind to humanity, keep the fire, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
And then he'd go and turn around
Why are
and
you following us?
turn around and do that, get an African American guy naked, take his clothes.
Literally,
Run away.
Literally
Yeah.
stripped him of his manhood, figuratively and literally.
Not literally. He didn't cut his balls
No,
off.
but he was standing there, no clothes.
Okay,
That's
but
the figurative.
that's figurative.
literally would be-
would go chop chop.
Literally, he would have given him the snip snip.
So, like, for me, that's where I look at it, and I'm like, I'm with him 100%. He's like, you're not doing the thing that you want your kid to do. You're not a great role model.
What are your sources?
You should
Uh,
meet my mom.
What is my source? Give me 1 second here.
All right, well, we can do
got-
mine
yeah,
if
you
you
go
guys want.
first.
All right, so mine is faroutmagazine.co.uk an
Alright.
article called "What Caused the Apocalypse in the Road."
The road did it.
Yes, the road. Why is it called the road? That's what I never got.
It's the road less traveled.
And you know what? I thought that, or I thought there's symbolism that they never actually walked on a road.
They
per
did
se.
walk on a road
Not,
though.
not for very long. What was the road for them? It was the road, but it was a road that you didn't expect. It wasn't a road less traveled. It was like sand or dirt or grime or muck.
Or an actual road.
It
They were
wasn't
literally on
a
highway.
road. It wasn't a road. It was their road or
Yes.
the road.
Okay.
They walked on a road, yes, but it wasn't a road like that we expect. It
Okay,
was
that
Their
makes more
path from point A to point B.
yes.
All right. Anyways, back to this. What caused the apocalypse in the road? What are you guys' thoughts? Because
I like that it's never said, but
Oh, no,
as
it works.
As a movie buff, I kind of wanted to know a little bit.
oh yeah,
Sometimes a
obviously
little bit
you
more
want to
explains
know,
bad.
but in the case of this movie, it doesn't really matter what made it happen. You know, it doesn't change the story at all.
So what about you, Will? What do you? Cause I'm trying to think.
Well, for me, as I always do, what did you guys think Rotten Tomato wise?
Well, he asked a question. We haven't answered it yet.
What was the question again?
What do you think happened? What do you
I'm-
think caused
I'm-
the apocalypse?
I am still on the nuke thing.
Yeah.
That and the stock market.
The stock market.
Dude, the stock market crashed in America in 2008. We didn't go under. It was just difficult.
We
Yeah.
haven't gone under yet.
It wasn't
No,
that
in 08
bad.
it did crash.
We
In
haven't gone under
2008,
yet.
We did go
In
under twice.
2008
08 and 2011.
We
did go
haven't. The
under.
apocalypse hasn't happened yet.
Yes, but we
It's
did go
about to
under.
happen again.
Here's the thing. It happened, but it wasn't that drastic of a level.
Dude, a lot of countries, a lot of businesses had to go overseas.
Yes,
It was that
but
drastic.
it wasn't as bad as the Great Depression.
In 2008,
for
did
that
America hit the Great Depression level?
we were in a depression. Yes,
We
not
didn't
great.
hit the Great Depression.
No, we
though.
were in a depression though.
Oh
Great
yeah, I know.
Depression and
I'm not
depression.
saying we weren't, but we
Economic
weren't
rec-
in.
The economy is like this.
Yes, we were at that point. We were in a again as someone who's a history buff. We were in a depression. It wasn't Great Depression. We were in a depression. That is true. What I will say is though that a lot of companies had to go overseas. That
Yeah.
killed us.
But also the other thing is we're still standing.
I think I gave an example, and I'm to answer your question, Mason, of like a Chernobyl type thing.
Yeah.
Maybe some like radioactive radio. But I
Nuclear-
also, my main one wasn't even that. I think it was something that humanity made that they were trying to undo, like a Mad Max, for example. It was humanity's fault that it happened, and they're trying to undo something they caused. That's my belief on what I was watching, because I stand with that.
The other thing, based off everyone coughing, I also think it was biochemical warfare.
Explain what you mean
Yeah.
for those listening.
Oh yeah, Emma said something about that last.
Because
What
not
did
only
Emmett say? I want to hear that. What did he say?
Not Emmett.
Emma.
Oh, Emma. What did you? Yeah, repeat what she said.
Well,
she had
no,
said?
let
it
Will
was
talk
it was
first.
basically paraphrased of that being like because of everyone coughing all the time and that sort of thing. It had to have been bad enough of a chemical anything, even if the nuke hit like a power plant type thing for radiation to hit, or a literal bomb filled with a chemical
Yeah.
set off and hit the planet. Hence how that. But at the end of the movie, with us seeing the beetle, we
there
know
was
that
some
life
sign of life.
can do it. That it's returning to normal.
Do you know
at least
why
in the South.
I like him as a friend. We all know that. But do you guys know why I have a hard time believing that it was about the coughing thing? Because the kid never coughed. Why it was only the adults. Did you guys notice that?
What was the symbolism?
I get that they're old. I understand
It
that.
was symbolism.
I understand that it was symbolism. But if something, but I've always been of the mindset if something
Also,
look at COVID. It hurt adults and children.
Oh.
This only affected adults.
maybe it was only affecting adults. Maybe the kid was like healthier because he was a child and like it couldn't affect
Yes,
him as well.
there's also all of that. But even with COVID, not every child got sick. Not
No,
everyone
but
else.
children still
Yeah,
did
maybe-
get sick.
Maybe since he's the chosen one, he has immunity.
There's all of that with the whole thing of you can't kill your main hero at least until the end. You have to have someone be the main hero that makes it at least until the very end of it. So there's all of that theory. Plus, if it is a chemical warfare, that it's just literally chemicals, he has been born and grew up within the atmosphere of the air.
That's true.
He only knows
He's
what he,
used
he
to
only
it.
knows what he knows.
Yeah.
That's the point. Yes, kids that here's the thing. Kids that were born during COVID know what the air quality in which COVID resides.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
grew up with great air.
With
That's what she said.
not just great air.
Okay,
But-
think of it this way: kids born in the city, they're used to the smoggy
The
stuff.
smoggy
Los
stuff
Angeles,
of that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Kids that are born in the South are more prone to be warmer and they're used to the humidity.
Their blood's thinner.
people
yeah.
born here, we got fresh air. We're used to the snow in the winter.
Fresh air is a relative term, but
It's compared to
Very
LA.
It's a very yes. It is relative though.
it's still relative. But it's still like
No, I'm with you. It is relative.
It's one of those things where it's just like wherever you're born, it's like the accent thing. No one's gonna have an Australian accent unless you're from Australia. We don't know why the sun hits a certain way with Australia to make accents the way they are. We don't know what the sun does in Pittsburgh to make us say
Y'all
yins,
Yinzers, yeah.
y'all and yins and everything else. We don't know what the sun does in Britain to make everyone talk like top of the morning to you and all the
That's
other
Irish.
stuff.
The
Sure.
Winchester.
Yeah, you get all that, but that's the point. Regardless of the accent, it's depending on where you do. Vance,
Yeah.
famous of New York. There's 5 accents.
Yes, there are. He's not. There's actually like there's also New York State, but the city there's 5. Yeah.
But within the city,
There's
there's 5.
Staten Island. So he's not kidding. Staten Island, Queens, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Bronx.
I don't know
Those
what
Those are all the boroughs.
I don't know what type of science, and I don't know what went on
like,
with
there's
God.
like Queens. Queens is more nasally. Brooklyn, what? Brooklyn's tough. Bronx is Bronx.
I don't care.
Manhattan and
But,
Staten
like,
Island.
My point with that is I don't know
Queens.
what God was hitting on with the sun or whatever science is going on that makes the air quality in 5 different boroughs within
I'm
not
gonna tell
that
you
far.
why it's bad because you have a lot of
Okay,
people
but-
you have a lot of people in a very small area.
Okay, but that doesn't explain why people talk differently.
Well, that's more that doesn't to me that doesn't mean as much. That's just dialect.
Yeah, but that's the point. It depends on where you are residing, where you are born, where it is that define not just you. Your voice and your accent that you have is you.
Yeah.
And with the time and place that the child, the boy, whatever you want to fully name him, is, he was born at a time when the air quality was shit and his body is used to dealing
Let's
with
ask
it.
a question. If we had to name the kid, what would we name him?
Steve.
Your mom.
I'm just asking a serious question. But if you
Will.
wanna- I don't know. He looked like a Dan to me.
I think
He looked like a Steve. Or a Sean.
Not
Or
me.
maybe an Ethan. I mean, I could
can
see
see
him.
Ethan.
Oh no.
He looked. I mean, if you guys ever saw Zathura,
Yes.
No.
I don't know the name of the little kid
I
in
forget
that.
it too, but I know
but
what you're talking about. Yeah.
That's what I picture. Either that or
That's
Junie.
not a bad. That's,
Or Junie.
here's the thing. That's not a bad comparison at all.
Or Junie.
Explain
I-
to him what you're talking about.
I'm also getting Spy Kid vibes from him too.
Spike.
With Junie.
Does Thor though? Explain what you're talking about to him though, because I know what you're referring to.
It's the hair.
Okay.
It's
Longer hair.
think in Star Wars Young Boba Fett with Daniel
Yeah.
Logan.
Okay.
His hair. That's what comes to my mind is that.
It
So,
makes sense though.
Yeah. But like I mean, again, up in the air with what actually it is. It will be conspiracy theoried over till the dawn of
Do
the
you
end of time.
do you guys like the fact that you don't know?
Oh, I love it.
It's great story.
It's fun entertainment for me looking on Reddit and everything else to be like,
Oh gosh.
people just experiment and theorize about stuff that doesn't really matter with their
So-
lives.
For my
That's
so,
the internet for.
so you had asked me about The Road. The one I chose was The Road movie, the ending. Now within the ending, there's more of it.
There's more ending than the
no,
ending.
there's. Can I just explain something, please?
Yeah.
I'm not in the mood for this. Mine is within the movie ending, we see that I'm using Screen Rant, but it talked about how the movie, right at the end, there's a point in the movie where the little kid hears a family and a dog. And for those that don't know, I'm not going to try and spoil too much. Without as little as I can, we've already said it, though. The dad passes on to another life. The little kid is left alone with a gun, cold, and with barely any food. Then this lady comes up to him, and she says, "We've been following you this entire time. We saw your struggle. Would you like to come live with us? A dad comes up to the kid and he's like, you have to take a chance with us. If you think we're good people, we're good people. You don't know, though. So the kid goes with them, meets this lady, meets their 2 kids, and a kid he saw earlier in the film. He also sees a girl and a dog. So do you guys feel like that ending was, I would have satisfactory, or do you like how it ended and the fact of it ending right there? Because I'll read you a little bit of what this says. The road ending is just as bleak as the rest of the post-apocalyptic drama. Director John Hillcoat adapted Cormac McCarthy's book The Road in '09. Viggo Mortensen and Cody Smith McPhee star as a father and son credited only as man and boy. Trying to survive an unspecified extinction event has wiped out most of the population. The road follows the man and the boy as they head southward through the barren wasteland in search of coast and warmer climes. Scavenging when a little boy, they can find the terrifying encounters with marauders and cannibals along the way. The man tries to protect his son as best he can, but keeps a gun loaded with their last bullet and ensures the boy know how to take his own life if need be, since death isn't the worst fate for the boy in the post-apocalyptic 2009 movie The Road. By the road ending, the pair finally arrive at the coast. However, the man is shot in the leg with an arrow by a paranoid survivor. He kills the assailant with a flare, but slowly succumbs to his wound and a worrying cough he's been plagued with as his son watches him die. So, the final scene, played by Prometheus' Guy Pearce, credited as veteran, who is traveling with what appears to be his wife, Molly Parker, their 2 young kids, and their pet dog. They tell the boy they've been following him and their father for some time and ask if he'd like to accompany them, offering a light at the end of the grim tunnel. So, did you guys like how the movie ended, or did you wish there was a little bit more?
I was mad that the dad died after watching them go this entire movie.
Like through that, going what they made it through.
Yeah, I was hoping they would actually find something at the coast instead of just
I don't
look at a
believe they.
beach
I
of
don't
dead
think they really
bodies.
made it to the coast per se, because if you watch the movie, they go from PA to sand like that. Again, the magic of movie making, I get it, but I don't think they were that far south, to be honest. I really don't.
I don't think it was supposed to actually be Conneaut Lake Park. Just,
No, I don't either. But again, for people that know, are the people that know. But I'm saying, if you know where they are, you know they're not that far south.
well, yeah, but they said they were at the coast and there was literally ocean there, so I think they made it to the coast, but there was nothing there, and
Yeah.
that was kind of a shitty ending.
I would have loved, I've said this in the class, I would have loved to have seen what happened when the kid went with the family, because if I'm correct, and correct me if I'm wrong, Will, isn't it during the credits you hear them? You hear them like, having a
That's-
barbecue and
that
mowing the
is-
lawn with the dog, and
And that is another debate. Is it before the apocalypse
after.
or the proof
I
that
think it's
life
after.
exists
I-
more?
Like I said, I think it's after because
I
the
do
only
too.
person left from before is the dad, and he's dead.
Which I also do think it's also
I
after,
think it's after as well, 'cause
but
you
I
hear-
wanted to acknowledge that.
you
that it's
hear
still a
more than
conspiracy
two voices
theory.
at the end of the movie in the credits. So I think it's after.
But for me in the ending, I thought it was actually a pretty good ending.
So you like how it ended?
I like how it ended because it wasn't as abrupt as, say, Shaun of the Dead was, but it also
It was bleak, but you liked that, the bleakness.
It wasn't just the fact that it was bleak. It was more like, as soon as I know that was quick for a solution, but like it was quickly resolved by them saying, "We've been following you."
And we want what we want.
Then, therefore, it also proves that the boy wasn't just hallucinating the entire movie.
Because you
that
see
was
the
the
dad's like,
debate.
you didn't see anybody.
Not just that, but you were always debating it in the fact because you're wondering, is this person going to eventually kill them? Like, either he's seeing people or people are following them and they're eventually going to die.
Yeah.
And the entire time it was, we want to help you.
Well, not
We want
only,
you to come live with us.
yeah, with that at the end, but like literally
Oh, you mean
through
beforehand?
the entire movie, you don't know with how anybody
Yeah.
is. The only person you know that is quote unquote good is the man and the boy. Everyone else can be a threat. So you don't know with anybody that anyone says.
So you like the fact that we don't know who's the threat and who's not.
I don't like that, but it also worked.
You
to be
understand why they did
I
it.
understand it. That
Yeah.
why one, it was written because of a book. Secondly, that was good for the sake of the story because, like, in that situation, put yourself in it. Would you trust anyone if it meant that you got to eat something, no matter how
Yeah, it's
disgusting
true.
it was?
What about you, Mace?
Hmm?
What about
Would you
Mace?
trust anyone if you meant that it was the only way you could eat, no matter how disgusting the food was? Would you trust anyone?
I wouldn't trust anyone,
But where do you stand on the ending? So you don't like that it ended on a bleak note like that?
I like the ending. I just think
I would have loved to have seen more personally. That's me though.
I think there could have been a different ending, but the way that it did end, I don't hate it.
So I like what you said. How would you have ended it if you were the director?
Let me think. Maybe have the family show up before the dad dies, or maybe have the family show up like after they make it to the coast or beforehand. Because if they've been following him this whole time, why didn't they show up sooner?
Because the dad might have pointed their gun and killed him.
Okay, but at the same time, they could have explained themselves to him.
And then also,
Would he have let him though? Because remember what he said: if you keep talking, I'm gonna blow your head up. He said that to people.
He did, but he didn't do it.
Yes,
the only
but
time
also-
He did do it.
the one time he did it was when the guy had the
knife.
knife to
The
the
knife,
kid's
yeah.
neck. That was
There's
it.
all of that, and then also, had they gone up to them beforehand, their shit wouldn't have been stolen.
Yeah.
Like literally, they could have said, "Hey, we've been like," if they would have walked a little
we're here to help
faster.
you.
If they would have walked a little faster, they all could have met the old man. They all could have been a family unit. And even if they wanted to wait till they got to the beach, the fact that they knew from the get-go how far they were going from the start of the journey, they knew where the end point was. Therefore, the father would have been more of a level
He
head.
could have been chilled out. Might not have gotten
Level
sick.
head. Now, not even that. Now that my boy is where my wife wanted him to be, I am
Chill out.
now
I can chill now.
chill. I don't.
Yeah.
I can still protect him from crazy people, but I'm where I'm meant to be with him.
Okay, now I liked the one thing I did like. I want to ask you guys: do you like how it was shot in terms of like almost black and white, very minimal color,
Yes.
griminess on the camera? I think I said this in class. I loved how grimy the camera lens looked from their perspective. It was awesome,
It fits the world tone for this movie.
very well.
I honestly wish it was in black and white because then it would have been.
It almost
bleaker.
was. It was very minimal color.
I'm saying like take out every color, unless it's of the past, and if they were going to film something
Like how it was
of
bright with like green
flashback?
trees.
to like show that
flashbacks, yeah, like
to
green
show
trees,
that the world was a bright, beautiful, lovely place.
Place at one point, yeah.
Now, like literally, as they
Yep.
keep saying in the theme, the fire, the only light
You
would
carry
be
it with you.
actually fire. So every time that they would be at a
You'd see a
campfire,
lot of orange flames.
not
yeah.
even orange, it would be orange with the
flames.
actual that, but whatever color that the flame would make, that would be the only color I would have. And every time a match would be lit, or every time he lit his lighter, those would be the lights for me. So as I do this for every movie, Rotten Tomatoes, what do you think?
We'll throw it in the 70s.
Is that the range?
Yeah, in the realm.
I'll go 74.
75.
You got the one a little bit
I'm gonna
lower.
audit today.
A little bit lower. It's
70.
no, it's not directly in the 70s, but it's like near
69.
like one below.
68.
Yeah, which one do you think 74? Which one do you think 68?
I'd say the critics score is the higher one.
I think the opposite.
No, Mason's right on this one. The tomato meter says it was 74. Audience put it at 68.
The movie, honestly, I'm gonna say it again. I felt would have been higher had the ending been a little different.
But when you're doing an adaptation of a book to a film,
No,
you
I get
can't
what-
do much.
Yeah.
But again, he said there was a lot left out in the book that wasn't put in the movie.
Yeah, but it was probably
There's-
just cut in the director's
There's
cut.
also all of that, but also what was left on the cutting room floor between the book
There's
and
a
the
reason
movie.
it wasn't in there.
It's either filler that didn't lead to anything that
There's a
would make
reason
the
it wasn't
story
in
make
there, yeah.
sense, or it would have made the ending even worse.
Yeah.
I don't think the ending could have gotten much worse. I think it could have gotten a lot better though.
It could have gone worse.
It could have gotten worse,
The
but I
kid
mean,
could have killed himself.
that was damn
Well,
near implied like
not-
15 times.
Yeah.
Not even that.
That
like,
but that was
that-
damn near implied 15 times.
That's what I'm
That-
saying. That could have been
yes.
worse.
That's still not the worst possibility.
No, it's not.
True.
The worst possibility is the dad dies halfway through the entire thing. Like,
Leaves the kid by himself.
not only that, like literally, both parents could have killed themselves at the beginning, leaving the kid while he's still up north. They both walk out together. They just leave him.
So we saw the debate yesterday where someone asked, "Do you think the mom's alive?" I think we all agree the mom is not alive, but I would have loved to have seen more of her.
Nah, she left the kid.
I wish she would have went with them for at least a little bit of the trip, a tiny bit, at least a little.
Here's the thing: she didn't care about them, so why should she? Because she left them. So why should
No,
she
I know.
get any?
I understand
screen time
that,
with
but
them?
I'm saying I wish she would have been there for a little bit. I don't know if you don't have to agree, and that's fine. But I just wish she would have been with the trip for a little bit, and maybe kill her off. Like I don't know. I'm just trying to think of anything. What about you? Or do you like how the mom went out?
I didn't like how she went out, but I get why.
I think I worded that wrong. Did you? No. Do you understand why? Or do you think
Oh,
how she went out was that the best way for her to go out?
That was the best way because it's either that or she would have just done the bullet anyway. Because as I forget who said
So
it.
didn't she freeze to death? We thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as Humphrey or someone said it, she didn't want.
I think Devaney said it.
But whoever said it, the reason why was because she didn't want it to come down to her and the son
Being frozen, yeah.
or being killed because there was 2 bullets.
Or another thing we're not going to touch on, but it was really bad.
Yeah.
All I'm
mean-
saying is you can kill 3 people with 1 bullet if done correctly.
It
No,
only
we're saying
takes
there's
1
another thing
bullet.
the reason that she didn't want to be alive is because she thought something bad was going to happen to her and her son's body.
Yeah.
But we're not going to touch on that.
Yes, but like
There are ways to get around that. They all could have just stood in a line, one on top of the other, laying in bed, and just.
Usually a bullet that small is not going to go through.
okay, then you have.
multiple
That's why you have 2. You can get through. You can do 2 people and then do yourself, right?
people. That would kill 2 people. It wouldn't kill 3.
Depends on where you shot.
There's other ways to kill yourself other than gunshots as well.
I just think
If you get someone in the heart directly and ricochet it that way, well, it can do 2 in
they
one
were in a
stone.
house. They definitely
it'd
had
be hard
knives.
to ricochet, but sure. It'd be hard to ricochet, but I get you.
They
I-
had
Or
knives. They definitely had rope because they were on a farm, right?
They did, yes.
there's
They
that,
had knives. They're
and
on a
there's
farm.
another way. The mom kills both of them, and she still walks out in the snow.
That's also a thing.
Do you think? So you think the mom going out the way she did it made sense for the film?
Yes, and like I said last night,
Yeah.
it was a whole lot better that the mom actually was the one the first crack and the first one to do. Let's just
What?
end it.
Repeat. Tell them why you said that because I
Because-
agree with that part.
Because there was so many stereotypical. The dad went to go get milk
And doesn't come
and
back.
didn't come back. And I get that the book came first and everything else, and it's supposed to be the father-son journey thing. But it's really touching that, like, you eventually have, unfortunately, it falls into the other trope that, Disney has done with the mother dying trope. But that in itself, within that context of that story, worked because she's actually, even though she is ending her own life, she is still making mercy for
So
her
you don't
son
consider-
later on.
Because I forget who it was, but someone considered the mom selfish. You don't consider her selfish at all.
It's either she was going to be a problem just like his dad was later on with getting sick and everything else and making the kid worried. If
Would
she
that have been
didn't
more
done it.
selfish to you?
No. It's just like it wouldn't be just unlike with
So
your opinion.
There's no great way to go about it.
There is no great way to go about this situation. It's more mercy if the mom were to leave to have the effect on the kid to be here's the memory when it was good versus here I am getting sick and sick and sick from an unknown whatever or just life itself beating the hell out of you.
So okay, yeah.
And then the other thing is literally I would have killed the kid because that is still mercy because what great and this is the argument the dad made or the mom. I forget which one of them made it in the film. But one of them, if not both of them, were yelling at each other about what good is the future of this kid in this world if it's not going to get any better.
That was the mom.
Hey.
That was the mom.
So, I kind of spawned out of there for a second.
Yeah.
This might be completely random, but correct me if I'm wrong. They had the kid after everything happened, right?
Yes.
The kid was born
He was born right as it got bad.
during the apocalypse.
He was born right as it started. Like right as it started.
So hear me out. They potentially could have killed themselves. The adults could have before he was born.
And it would have killed the baby, yeah.
Yeah.
So therefore, if you look at it deeply like that, when the concept of the movie is
Yeah, I'll let you
barely
take
in
this one. But the
contention,
question I had asked Mason was, do you think how the mom went was merciful?
How she died,
Yes.
frozen. Yes, that's what she
'Cause-
deserved. She
'Cause
left them.
Will was kind of inconclusive. So say what you said again to him because he zoned out.
My bad.
Basically, she did mercy because she didn't want the kid to have to
Suffer,
choose
yeah.
between having both parents be suffering at the same time and losing both as he got older.
Yeah.
And then to answer your other thing with that, one, you're reading too deep into it.
You are.
Okay.
Because we wouldn't have a movie.
That's fair.
We literally would not have a movie.
Part two, if you want to go off that, then you're supporting everyone that has ever sued their parents for ever being born.
He's not wrong. He really isn't.
I mean,
You do realize I was on that train, right?
so was
Let's
I
be
with
to
my
be
own.
fair here. Do you think there's no good way of going about this?
there never is.
But what do you guys think was the highlight of the movie?
Highlight?
When they got food at the middle of the movie.
The music.
You did say that, yeah.
Well, yes, that's always good. But if you want to say like a very high point, like a very happy moment within the film,
The food was it. Yeah.
it is finding the bunker that has all the food and them staying there for, I would assume, at least 3 days before they got pushed out.
yeah.
I think Will said it really good yesterday. You mentioned the dad mentions about if you have bad dreams, you know you're doing something right. Tell people about the church scene. He said it was really interesting.
For one,
So explain the dream thing because you can do it better
the
than I can.
the dream thing,
Go ahead.
No. Once you're done.
the dream thing quote was, if you have nightmares,
You're
then
doing something right.
you're doing something right, and then you're living, and that you have
Isn't
the
it,
always
if you
being
have dreams, you're
alertness.
close to death.
If you're dreaming, that's when you should worry
'Cause you're close
because
to
not
death.
just close to death, but that means everything is too there. Therefore, in the metaphor, think about it this way.
The dad has his first good dream in a church.
Well, not only all that, but think of it as another metaphor of
Well, isn't that what you said though yesterday? He has his first great dream
no,
in a
that
church.
that was Devaney.
Oh.
But even to go off what she said with all that being the first thing in the church, if you want to go the allegory of like God and everything
Yeah.
with it, if you're having nightmares, that means you're doing the right thing because you're never comfortable where you're at.
That's good.
As soon as you dream and you're comfortable where you're at, you're being
You're-
content.
You're being content and you're being complacent.
And
yeah.
then God can't use people that would be content in placement in where
But
they
again,
are.
but again, contentment is not always a bad thing.
No, but it can be the danger.
Go ahead.
So, that was something I actually picked up on the movie and this was really random because, not last Sunday because that was Mother's Day, but the Sunday before, I went to church and the pastor had a sermon on that exact topic of where,
About contentment?
about where, don't forget God when the going gets good. So when you're high on life, that's when a lot of people decide they don't need God anymore.
Yeah.
And so then that's when you start having problems. When
When you're
life
at your
is
best, yeah.
when life is tough, that's when you're with God, and that's when you become a better
when you're
person.
At your best, you forget about him.
Yeah, that's when you become a better person in general. So I found that as interesting sort of parallel because we had just had that sermon, and then this theme kind of coming up in the movie.
And I mean, like, yes, there's all, like, as Devaney and you and I think even Emma was saying about all the, he got sick as soon as he
The
entered
church
the
happened,
church.
yeah.
When the entire movie he was playing God and mocking God. He even said at the beginning
He
of
prayed
it.
and he said, "Thank you, people," not "Thank
Exactly.
you, God."
And then he was also saying,
So explain the prayer thing that I'll get in real quick. So they found the food and they're praying, and the dad never once says "Thank you, God." He says "Thank you, people." Go on.
and then, like,
So you do think it was a mockery too? I'm not the only one that thought that.
they're all that way. And then earlier than that, he's saying that his son is.
That was a mockery
God.
too. Yeah.
Because it can be and it can't be. Because if the symbolism is that this is
You think it can work both ways?
As you said, he's the quote-unquote chosen one.
Yeah. No, I think he
within this
said
story.
that.
Whoever said it
Yeah.
is very accurate to it because there always is. I don't know if you guys have ever picked up on this. This is what my dad has always told me. There is always an element. It's either it's being picked on or, being like, here, let's tear down Christianity, praising it in an unknown way. But there's always an allegory toward Christianity and Jewish culture.
You're not wrong.
in an
You're not.
allegory way, regardless if it's toward a negative light
You're not wrong.
or a positive light, or even if it's, especially if it's like a historical thing, being like, let's make a document movie about World War II, then we're obviously going into the Holocaust. But like with this one, it's the allegory of he might be the
He
chosen
got
one, sickest when the karma could hit him the most. As I forget if it was Devney or
It was Devaney that said it.
Devaney
And then I think you backed it.
as well as Emma.
Yeah.
All three of us kind of piggybacked it together, regardless of in our own individual explanation of it.
It was either you. It was either the
It was-
three of
it
you
wasn't
plus
me.
me. Oh no,
It was
me,
not me. It
me,
was-
Devaney, Emma. Yeah.
Me and him just sat back and
Me,
were
Devaney,
like,
and Emma were all like, he got sickest when
He
one
entered the
should be
church.
at their best. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I zoned out as soon as Devaney said I looked into cannibalism.
I think we all did.
Yeah. And with that, we can get going, boys. So this has been our fourth podcast, and we'll see you next week.